What if Deku was born with Ultra Instinct, Part 5? And you know how... So I might not get to the sports festival today. Just saying, I'm not really sure if I will. Not really sure if I won't. So basically, to start it off, Deku... Like, they have a month break instead of a 2-week break to train. So Deku actually goes over to... I'm not really sure what the island is called. It was... I'm just going to call it Easter Island. I know it's not really Easter Island, but I'm calling it Easter Island just because I don't really care. So, All Might takes Deku to Easter Island because, it's not because Deku is, it's because All Might has a very great respect for Izuku just because he beat him, which you guys would have known if you watched What If Deku Had Ultra Instinct Part 3. But basically, he has a very good respect for Deku just because he beat him in a fight, so he takes him there. And Deku ends up meeting Melissa. And she immediately they immediately got along, and she was like, hey, what's your quirk? And he's like, funny thing, I don't have one. She's like, wait, really? No way, I don't have a quirk either. He's like, oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. Did you get bullied? And she's like, well, sort of. And he's like, well, I didn't because I got taken away when I was 5. No. But he just said, yeah, I didn't really get bullied because I was always strong. Oh, I have an idea. And she's like, what? And he's like, hold on, I'll be right back. As he puts 2 fingers up to his head and just, he just hears a, from, Dragon Ball Z Abridged. You guys would have known, when Goku, instant transmissions, there's a, so he does that, and he's immediately in front of All Might, and All Might's like, damn, Midoriya, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I think I found somebody worthy of your power. And he's like, but I did not tell you. And he's like, I can sense your ki, I can see that it's defleeting, and I know that you can transfer power, so come with me. He's like, wonder who this kid's gonna come up with. He teleports, and it's right in front of Melissa, and he's like, this one. And All Might's just like, and All Might just pulls him out of the room, and he's like, are you sure? Are you sure she has a pure heart? He's like, All Might, she was your she's your sidekick's daughter. I know her power is good, but but I think I can train her much better than you'd ever do. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. And he goes straight to, I can't remember his name, Melissa's, dad. But he, goes right in front of him, and he's like, okay, so, if it's alright with you, I'm going to train your daughter to accept All Might's power. And he's like, what? What? No, I don't accept. And he's like, oh, too bad, I'm already going to start training her. Bye. He's like, God damn it, why does this keep happening? Why? So, basically, Deku goes back to Melissa, and she takes him to, the center where there's this obstacle course where you have to take out robots and stuff. And Deku's there, and he's like, hey, can I have a turn? And, the person's up there's like, ooh, a new challenger. Let's see if they can beat the overall record of 5 seconds. And he's like, 5 seconds? That shouldn't be too hard. As he basically crosses his hands and forms 2 key balls out. And as soon as she says go, he just flings them, destroying each and every one of the robots in 1 second. And basically she's like, oh my gosh, it's a new record. What's your name? And he's like, oh, my name is Zuku Midoriya, future #1 hero, and I just beat your record because it was easy. And Melissa is shocked at this. She's like, what? I thought you told me you don't have a quirk. And he's like, I don't. That's just pure ability. And she's like, what? How? How could that be pure ability? Well, you see, I actually was born with a special ability to control all of life itself, which is called ki, which I can manipulate into balls of energy where I can fly off. I also have something called Ultra Instinct, which is why my hair is white, which allows me to dodge anything. And she's like, whoa, that's so cool. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to start training you. And she's like, what? And he's like, you told me you wanted to become a hero, right? Until you were 4 and you discovered you were quirkless. Well, I'm going to train you so you can become a hero. And she's like, what? Are you sure? He's like, yes, but be prepared. The next year is going to be the next month is going to be living hell for you. And since Deku trained with Whis, since like Whis knows Bulma basically, he actually had a capsule of the room in Spirit in Time, or the Time Chamber. And Deku's like, this next month is gonna be living hell for you. And Melissa's just like, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? As Deku says goodbye to, I think his name was David and All Might, and he grabs her, he touches her shoulder, puts 2 fingers up on his head, and teleports them to his house. And she's like, wait, why are we at your house? Oh, you'll see. As he grabs a little capsule, and she's like, how's this gonna help me with training? And he's just like, you'll see, as he throws it out, and this big room appears. And she's like, what? How'd you do that? And he's like, oh, it's a capsule that somebody in another universe made for us. Alright, come in. This is called the Room and Spirit of Time, where one day in 1 year in there is 1 day out here, so you'll get a lot more training done. You may even be able to use ki, as we are both quirkless, which means you are probably closer enough to ki energy instead of quirk energy. It's like, oh really? That'd be cool. As basically, Deku takes her aside, and then she's like, wait, does that mean I'm gonna have physical changes? And he's like, no, I actually asked the Shenron to make this one not have any change effects on anybody. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. And he's like, yeah. And then they basically get to work for 30 days. Keep in mind, that's 30 years of training. Deku may be the most powerful being in that universe. Besides from the angel, he could probably defeat the god of destruction from that universe. I'm going to say this universe is actually universe 6. This is universe 6, but Beerus and Whis actually went looking for anybody strong, because Beerus was kind of sad because his only sparring partner, Goku, actually died, which I'm just going to say. But Bulma actually wished that she could stay alive longer just because she wanted to invent more things. So basically, she did that. And so they were just looking around for strong fighters, and they picked out this kid because he had a strong perception of ki. So, yeah. They get started on their 30 years, and Deku actually gets a lot stronger too, as like after 10 years of training, Melissa is well prepared to be, like, she's well prepared. I'm gonna say she can do a small Kamehameha wave, but she can't do like a super Kamehameha wave, a spirit bomb. Like, she doesn't have, like, she can't really do that, but Deku can easily do a spirit bomb and a super Kamehameha wave, a one-handed Kamehameha, like a Gallic gun. He can do all of those, but like she can't really. So after the 30 days, like, Izuku easily gets a lot stronger. Like, he's probably, I'd say, a quarter stronger than he was, which means he can easily overpower All Might. And Melissa, I'm going to say she's probably, through those 30 years of training with Key and stuff, like she was able to get so much done. I'm going to say she's probably as strong as 50% All Might. Just from Deku teaching her techniques like the Kaioken. When she's doing her max, she can do 50% of what All Might is. So imagine her with One for All. She'd basically be like 75% Deku, basically. So Deku ends up going teleport after they get out. They teleport right to All Might, and he's like, young Midori, are you sure she can handle One for All? It's only 30 days it's been. And he's like, well, I have a device that allows each day to be a year's worth of training, and she's been training for 30 years. So she should pretty much handle it. And from what I could tell, she can probably handle fighting you at 50% power. And he's like, what? With no core? That's amazing. And he like plucks out a string of hair, points it towards Melissa, and he's like, eat this. And she basically is just frozen in fear, and he's like, and she's like, what? Eat? What? I'm so confused. Like, she just doesn't know what to do. So basically, they keep going, and Deku basically goes to UA, knocks on the door, and Nezu's like, come in. He walks in, and he's like, I have an offer, please. Test this girl to come to class 1A, join the hero course, because she couldn't join because she was on Easter Island. And he's like, oh, what's her quirk? And he's like, I don't really know. And then he's like, wait, do you know All Might's secret? And Nezu's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, that's the one. And she's like, oh, so this is his successor. And he's like, yup. And she's like, oh, well, that's fine. She can join. And she can also participate during the sports festival. That will be fun. As he starts maniacally laughing, like always. So basically, it's time for the sports festival. They start, and they're like, first event's gonna be a race. But before that, please, welcome the, what's it? Oh, class representative. And he walks up, and he's like, do you guys remember the person from the USJ that said, I beat All Might? Well, that's me. Nobody's gonna win besides me. As he points to himself, and everyone's like booing. And he's like, fight me. You all saw how I beat Endeavor. As he's just smiling. And like Endeavor's just, like you could see Endeavor with a crutch, like with a broken leg, just like staring at him evilly, like shaking his fist, like, damn you, kid. How could you be so strong? So they start the race, everyone's running. And then the 0-pointers come, and Deku, like, they're throwing debris at all the kids, and Deku's just like, Kame, Kame. And he's like hopping from rock to rock, and then he says, destroying all 3 of them. And it's like, Izuku Midoriya from Class 1A has once again proven himself worthy of being the #1 hero. But will decide only in a couple years. As basically Deku just keeps hopping. Like, he just keeps running, and he looks behind him to see, like, Melissa just there. He's like, oh, hi, Melissa. Like, he's running backwards, and he's like, have you figured out how to fully use your quirk yet? And she's like, oh, no, it's still pretty hard. And he's like, didn't I tell you on the first day of training to always course the power always, or have the power flow through you? And she's like, oh yeah, I should probably do that. So basically, she starts to do that, and Deku's like, alright, that's pretty good. Now that you've learned how to fully course or have the power flow through you, you should be able to control at least 75% of it, if not 100. Why don't you try? You could probably be going faster. And she's like, oh, thanks. As she immediately speeds past him, and he's like, I didn't mean for you to pass me. As he basically folds his arms in two and then shoots them back as he starts flying through the air at uncanny speeds. And he's just going, just going super fast. Sorry. But he's just going, like, zipping through everybody. And he's like, man, this is fun. As he just keeps going and going. And then all of a sudden he hears Suki Midori in first place. And not far behind Melissa Shield in second. And then he looks behind him and he's like, well, I guess you did it. And he's like, well, I guess I did too. As they basically come to a stop with Melissa not being able to, flying into Deku. And Deku knew he could dodge this, but he's like, meh, I'm too. And he's like, as she runs into him and actually accidentally kisses him, because, like, since she fell on him, like, he's on the ground, her arms are right beside his head, and he's kissing him. Like, usually it'd be the other way around, not really sure, though, but it's like that. And then she's like, I thought you said you could dodge anything that comes your way. And he's like, yeah, I did. That's because I can. I'm just too lazy. Isn't that problem with you? And she basically, like, smacks him, and he's like, yeah, it does. Wait, why did you dodge that? Because I'm lazy. And he's like, gosh, why? It's like, you've trained with me for a whole 30 years. Why do you care? And she's like, well, I guess you're right. As she basically, like, sits down. And then Deku, so now it's on to the cavalry battle. Deku and Melissa team up, and they get Uraraka to join in, and what's his name? And they also get Ida to join up because he sees that they're unstoppable. So he joins them, and Deku orders them, stand in the middle, don't move, no matter what. And they're like, wait, but somebody's going to steal your headband. He's like, nope. 30 minutes, I will dodge everything. And then they're like, yeah, I guess that's true. And 2, I might jump up high. So I'm going to need you guys to stay right there. So if I fall down, you can catch me. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. So Midnight yells, all right, everybody go! And they're all running at each other. And Deku just smiles and he's like, heh, you think you can get my headband? As all of them reach out at the same time for the headband, only to see him bend it down at the last second. He's like, nope. As he basically slaps all of them across the faces, sending them into a wall, like knocking out half the people there. Kind of like how Goku slapped Frieza when he first went into Super Saiyan. So everybody, like, sees what, and they just keep, and Bakugo comes in and he just keeps throwing punches for Deku just to be, like, dodging every single one. And he's like, come on, Bakugo, I thought you were better, as he punches him down into the ground. And, like, all the while his team's just standing there in awe at his physical strength and ability, even though they already knew he could, like, dodge everything. So the time's up, and everyone's like, oh, time's up. Well, Izuku Midoriya's team is in first place with 1,000,000 points. And that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this random 20-minute video, mostly because I could not get gameplay up today, and not for a while. So yeah, guys, hope you guys did enjoy again, and so yeah, bye.